Hello and welcome to the final episode of Series 3 of North London TV. I'm Roseanne.
I'm Steve.
North London TV is a social media programme looking to highlight all the best bits of North London. Coming up in today's episode,
We'll be doing a big interview with Louisa Walters from the Restaurant Club. I'll be talking about the changing face of a state agency. We'll be doing a lifestyle piece at El Vaquero talking about Mojitos. And we'll be doing an area guide on Whetstone. So Roseanne, I hear you've been to see Louisa Walters.
I have. The Restaurant Club, it's great. You know it?
I think anyone from North London knows the Restaurant Club. How the amount of followers they have now and what they've done is incredible.
Amazing.
And how they've helped local businesses over the pandemic was pretty amazing.
It was, really well. I really enjoyed talking to her.
So should we have a look at what you had to say?
Yeah, let's do that. Today I'm here with Louisa Walters, who's the owner and founder of the Restaurant Club. She's here to chat to me about how the business started and how it's evolved over the last few years. Hi Louisa, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
So we're here today at the engine rooms. So start off by telling me a little bit more about what the Restaurant Club is.
So the Restaurant Club began life as a Facebook group. It's been going for nearly 10 years and it's always been a big supporter of independent restaurants and particularly local ones. Most of our members tend to be in and around North London. When the Facebook group was founded, local restaurants were opening up all over that area, and we found that we were a place where people would discover them, be excited to report about them when they've been there, and we did a really good job in people filling up the restaurants. But a few years ago, it went a little bit further and we developed a loyalty card scheme, which meant that people had a discount card that they could use in local restaurants, a little bit like Taste Card, but again, only supporting the independent restaurant industry. That's what we're passionate about.
So I know the Restaurant Club. I live in North London. I go to a lot of North London restaurants. And so when I'm looking for somewhere either new or I've heard of somewhere that I might think about trying, I immediately go onto the Facebook group and I search what I'm looking for, and there's always somebody that has either commented or knows about it or knows somebody that knows somebody. So how did that kind of social media base, how did it kind of develop?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. It's people who knew people adding their friends to the group, and people are sort of out for dinner with other friends and saying, oh, you know, I found out about this restaurant on the Restaurant Club, and they would all say, what's the Restaurant Club? And so that's how it grew and evolved. We've got 24,000 members now, but it is a niche community, and I try to keep it that way. So when people apply to join the group, I don't just let them on. I look at who they are and where they are, because people living, for example, in, Indonesia, there's not really any point in them being on that group. They're not going to bring anything to it, and it's not going to give anything to them. So I think by being a niche community is what really gives it its strength.
And how have local restaurants in the North London area benefited from the Restaurant Club?
Well, first of all, with the loyalty card scheme, a lot of them jumped on board because they saw the power of the group and they knew that we would market the card on the group and that people would buy the card. But then, of course, lockdown hit and all restaurants had to close, and that was a big problem. So I had a group that went from being hugely active and engaged and suddenly, wham, dead, quiet. But then, slowly but surely, restaurants pivoted. They were doing home deliveries, they were doing takeaway, and they approached me to say, can we market this on your group? We need to let people know that we're still here and this is what we're doing. So very quickly, I developed a review and marketing program to get the word out there. We send out newsletters, we do Instagram posts, and obviously on the Facebook group. And it was brilliant, and it took off brilliantly. And since restaurants have reopened, that review and marketing program has grown and grown.
So how does that work? When the engine rooms where we are today, which is a gorgeous new restaurant in East Finchley, how did they approach you and what exactly have you done for them?
So I came along and I had a few meetings here, and I actually saw this place coming together and coming to fruition. I was very excited about it. And of course, when restaurants first opened, outdoor dining was everything. There's a fantastic courtyard, covered courtyard here, which is going to be open all year round, amazing heating, amazing cover. I did a Facebook post to say that it was about to open. I did a newsletter to the database. I did an Instagram post. And then once it was fully open, I came to eat here. And I was blown away by what I found, and I did a review. I know that bookings have increased exponentially after our coverage of it. I also approach restaurants. You know, I've always got my ear to the ground about, especially with new openings, but new openings are not the only thing here. You know, restaurants all over are struggling to get back on their feet. They've got a lot of staffing issues. We need to be kind to restaurants as well. That's quite important to me.
So what would you say is special about North London as an eatery kind of centre?
Well, one thing which is amazing about North London is you don't need to pay congestion charge if you're going out to eat there. But if you don't want to drive and you do want to get an Uber, it's not going to cost you very much either. What also is great about North London is the sense of community. So if you like walking into a restaurant and seeing familiar faces, whether it be the owners, whether it be people who live in the area, then obviously that suits you really well. And also I think the thing about local restaurants is they tend to know their market. So they'll listen to feedback and they will develop their menus and things accordingly.
So thanks for joining us today. It's been a really interesting chat. Looking forward to seeing lots more new restaurants opening up in the area and thriving basically after what's been a really difficult time. So thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
And now it's back to the studio.
So you look like you had fun there chit-chatting away.
I did. She was really interesting to talk to. And actually what was interesting was how obviously during the pandemic, it sort of killed the restaurant market completely, and it's interesting how she took the business and she adapted it. So it wasn't just like she let things die. She sort of looked at what the market needed and changed her business in that direction.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things with Louisa and the restaurant club is how much they helped, especially fundraising for people to go out and give food to the NHS, which was absolutely amazing. I think it was an incredible amount of people who are involved, and what they also did is they helped some of the restaurants survive by actually getting the restaurants so people donated, they helped the restaurants and obviously helped the NHS. So it was an amazing thing that she did over that time. And
as we've seen from my interview, you know, she's helping sort of brand new restaurants now. The Engine Room where we shot that interview, it's just an incredible space in East Finchley, and it's adding new features to it all the time, so I think it's going to really do well.
No, it's great. I never have to worry about where to take anyone for dinner. I just check out the restaurant club.
That's
and it answers all my questions.
That's it. So moving on to our next item. Next up, it's Steve's property feature, and this time he's going to be talking about the changing face of estate agency.
So over the last few years, there's been a real big change in estate agency. What you're probably seeing as yourselves as just being a consumer is less estate agents popping up on your high street. And while that is still a need for that and people like to know that the brand is locally, what you're now starting having is companies growing. And so an agent who maybe would be in Mill Hill would now potentially have someone in Edgware and in Stanmore and Colindale and Kingsbury. And what they're doing is by having these agents, A, the company is getting a bigger, wider coverage, but it's giving the agents more flexibility. And because the agents are self-employed, they no longer have their security of a basic wage, but what it gives them is the opportunity to earn more money for real hungry, motivated agents, but also a better life balance. And when people have a better life balance, they're happier. And when there's someone is earning maybe 50% rather than 10%, that agent is able to give the customer a better service. It means they no longer have this shiny toy effect that they get this property on the market and then they're rushing to the next and to the next to the next. And what they can actually do is give people really good quality of service. And when, like with all of us, when we're a little bit less stressed, we're a little bit nicer. And when we're a little bit nicer, we can give a better service. So it's not just about the money, but a whole lifestyle changing. And in America and Australia, that is a way forward. And it's definitely something that's really pushing in the UK.
So that's really interesting what you're saying about the change in the industry. Obviously, you've worked in it yourself for 20 years, you should know what you're talking about. But what would make an estate agent leave a salaried job to go out on their own?
Look, you've got to be brave to do it, but if you get it right, the money is double, treble, quadruple what you can earn. And then there's the other side of it, is a life balance. You know, the problem with a estate agency is you need to open your office from 9:30 till 6:30. And you can't leave that office empty, because if you do, suddenly everyone thinks you've gone out of business, even if you leave it empty for half an hour. So the world's changing, and you know, you look at the pandemic and people working from home, and people are used to sort of, you phoning someone and you hear a kid screaming in the background. So people have sort of accepted that change, and people want that change. And the reality, I've said it for years, is you don't need to be in the office all that time. It's slowly building a self-employed model. And I think 5-6 years' time, it's going to be very much like America and Australia here, that actually there's going to be more people self-employed than employed.
Yeah, I think it's worked for a lot of other industries, and I think the estate agency probably needs to catch up.
Yeah, estate agency in this country is very, very old-fashioned. You know, and the whole process is very old-fashioned. And you know, this is sort of stage one of things changing.
Let's see what happens.
Talking about what we all want to see, Roseanne's going drinking again.
Again. This time it's cocktails.
So what have we done this series? We've done wine.
We've done
We've
wine.
done champagne. And to finish you off, you've done cocktails.
Mojitos, my favourite.
Mojitos.
You like a mojito, don't you?
Everyone loves a mojito.
Exactly. You want to find out how to make one?
Let's go and find out.
Let's go.
Hi guys, we're El Vaquero in Mill Hill. I'm with Tom here, and he's going to be teaching me how to make a mojito. So Tom, where do I start?
Start with the limes.
4 limes. So
Can count to 4, right?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Couple of mint leaves.
A little bit of mint. Oops. Yep.
Great, now give it a nice
Squeeze.
squeeze. That's
Nice
great.
and juicy.
Bacardi, we measure roughly 30 cc.
That's a big old bottle.
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
3-second rule.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
What's going in next?
A lemon sour, which is made of like a lemonade basically.
How much of this?
3/4.
There we
That's it.
Lovely.
A bit of strawberry munin.
How much of this? How
15 cc, about a second.
second?
That's it. Give it a nice color.
Lovely.
That goes into the shaker. Great.
Like this.
Like that, and squeeze. And
Just like in the film. Shake it to the left, shake it to the right.
No Tom Cruise cocktail maker.
I always wanted to be a barman.
that's it.
Now's your chance.
A glass.
Ice and a slice.
Yes.
Pour it back in.
Smells good.
And top it up with crushed ice. All the way to the top.
Try not to make too much of this. For you, my love.
Oh,
Now you got to try
the
it.
tasting. Smells good. That's actually very nice.
Yeah, see, look, I've learned something today. Now that is a handy thing to learn.
That is a handy thing to learn.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Back to the studio.
Done.
The studio now.
Cheers. So, Roseanne, you look like you had fun there.
I had fun.
But could you make it again for me?
I think I could. I think I could.
might test you
Can you not
later.
see me as a bar, like cocktail?
I see you drinking cocktails. I don't see you making cocktails.
Okay, I prefer them made for me, I have to say. But, you know, it was really good and tasty. If you want one, go down to El Vaquero, that's my advice. Anyway, on to our final item now. It's our area guide. We're back with Layla and she's going to be talking about Whetstone.
Whetstone is one of North London's hidden gems, situated next to Totteridge, Barnet, Mill Hill and Finchley. It's ideal for young professionals, families and those looking to downsize. It has several green areas, including Dollis Valley Walkway, which runs from Barnet to Hampstead. For culture, you have the Everyman Cinema and the Arts Depot for your local theatre. For travel, you have the Underground, the Overground and easy access to all major road links. A 3-bedroom house ranges from 450 to 900,000. And if you're looking for a 2-bedroom flat, it ranges from 200,000 to 1.3 million.
So that was great seeing all about Whetstone. The great thing I love about Whetstone, I know you love especially, is the restaurants. They're amazing down there.
So many new, and what's nice about it is it's all independent restaurants. So you do have a couple of chains there, but they're all kind of like either family-run businesses or just standalone independent restaurants.
And I think the nice thing when you've got those type of businesses, you sort of become part of the community.
Definitely.
I remember when Tutu Moo opened, we used to go to the one in Crouch End and we ended up getting invited to the opening. And, you know, we've always stayed in touch with the owners there and with the other restaurants in the area.
And they've just opened a La Luna as well, which was based in Muswell Hill.
We had
which
our
is
Christmas party there
tapas.
once.
We did. We'll have to try the Whetstone one now, which is
sounds
also
a good
really
idea.
good. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for this series. It's been great talking to all the local businesses that we've been speaking to in North London. We're looking forward to coming back for our 4th series. I can't believe it's going to be 4th series. But
I can't believe you tolerated me for that long.
I know. Well, me and you as well. Exactly. So thanks for everyone that took part. If you're a local business looking to be involved in our next series of North London TV, then please do contact the details below. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks again and goodbye.